sort of tell that story. I think we did a good job telling that story. And I forgot about it because we have lots of stories to tell. We go to lots of places. And about, I want to say over a year ago, I can't remember exactly when, I get an email. No need to worry, no longer endangered. No, it said extinct. And actually finally perished. It wasn't from the mongoose. It wasn't from the feral cat. It was from malaria. Malaria, which was introduced by Europeans to the island of Hawaii. Some say out of vengeance, poured into a well of someone who was not being friendly to this boat. That was then spread by mosquitoes, spread by wild pigs that would create these wallows, spread the malaria through the forest. And the impact on these birds was it actually caused their beaks to fall off. And I think, I can't remember exactly what it is, but within the last 3 decades, 14 of these species have become extinct. So extinction is very, very real. And the reality is, for my daughter, is no matter how pretty her world will be or how beautiful and rich it is, there will be a number of species unavailable for her. If she is interested in them, I don't know what she's going to do. That's just the world we live in. And it's largely because of our behavior. And you can get stuck on that. And the thing about it, I get stuck on that. I think about the Ganges River dolphin, which just became extinct. And you think about dodo birds, but you realize that they are one of potentially 20,000 life forms every year which disappear from our planet. Does it mean we don't use? Do we mean we don't use our resources? We don't survive? I don't believe that's the answer, because we are life forms. We are alive. We're a part of that formula of life. Do I believe it's too late, despite the fact that things are gone? I don't believe it's too late. We have American alligators, condors, bald eagles, because people believed it was possible. And it is possible. We will lose species. But there's a very real possibility if we smarten up, which I think we're starting to wake up a little bit in how we look at ourselves as consumers of natural resources. We may yet provide a promising future for the next generation to come, which is the ultimate legacy you want to pass forward. What kind of legacy is it to pass forward in an unhealthier world than you got to experience that helped you survive and thrive as a being within your species? You know, you talk about the bald eagle. Does anyone know what the population of bald eagles was reduced to? What was it? I think it was about 400 pairs, about 450 pairs. Someone might have said that. From thousands of animals. In the state of New York, it was reduced from 400 pair to 1 pair. And today, there are over 10,000 pairs of bald eagle in the lower 48. That doesn't include what's in Alaska. You can look at the American alligator, reduced to truly critical numbers. But now there are millions, potentially millions of alligators surviving throughout the Southeast. Now they can be looked at as a resource. You can look at the California condor, which is not out of the woods yet, but the California condor was reduced to 22 animals. And now there are over 300 of them, 140 living in the wild. They require tremendous amounts of management and babysitting to even give them a chance, but they're reproducing in the wild. The black-footed ferret, we had a wonderful dinner early tonight with your colleagues, and we were talking about the value of the species and how that can impact the ecosystem. And when I first went to film black-footed ferret, they didn't exist in the wild. The only black-footed ferret were a few individuals in a breeding facility in New Mexico and some other places. But that itself is a miracle, because this was a species that just a decade or so before was considered extinct until it was accidentally discovered when a German shepherd brought home a dead black-footed ferret. And someone said, oh my gosh, they're still out there. The Fish and Wildlife Service went in, they found where they were, they collected the remaining amount. I think it was about, no, they found it was 100. That colony dropped down to 11 individuals, surviving individuals from plague and distemper. Wiped them out. Out of that 11 individuals, over 2,000 have been produced, and they're now living in the wild. 600 wild black-footed ferret throughout the great prairies of our fantastic country. And I remember, in this age of conservation darkness, and I believe we have huge issues, I remember that moment when I went to see them and I could only witness them through an electric fence with a big long lens and knowing that they were in captivity. And I took my daughter, about 2 months ago, to the Badlands of South Dakota, and she could actually see, her 4-year-old eyes could see black-footed ferret that my whole life did not exist in the wild, but they do now. So there is tremendous promise, there's tremendous opportunities. I think the most important thing to remember is that all of us have responsibility. You know, I think so many times we feel powerless. I sometimes feel that way. You just feel like you don't matter. I mean, you sort of let your eyes sweep through all of us in this room. It's just a mass, probably 75,000 pounds and just lots of cells and tissue, just a sea of humanity. But we're not. When you focus, it's like that painting. I notice you start seeing faces. I start seeing individuals. So you're going to have an impact. You are going to leave back an impression. After you live your 80 years, if you're lucky, maybe 90 years, maybe less if you're not so lucky, you will leave behind an echo of yourself that will ripple out. And how do you want that to be? And I would like to take that question and sort of turn that over for, we've got some nice time for questions. I'd like to turn that over to you, and then you can ask some